Hi family, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, welcome. My name is Dominique Davis, also known as Brown and Bendy. And here on this channel, we practice flexibility of the mind, the body, and the spirit. First, thank you patrons for supporting me and showing me how much you care about these videos that I make. I really appreciate it. Your patronage are the reasons why I keep coming back to making videos, because I know that I'm giving value because you're sweet enough to give value to me. So thank you for that. Also, a lot of new subscribers, a lot of new people from the last video. I am so grateful that those negative past circumstances can create positive change in this present reality. I am here for it, and all of your supportive comments help me heal wounds that, I thought didn't hurt so badly anymore, but those wounds still do hurt. So thank you for those supportive comments and for um, just coming together with me and supporting me. I appreciate it. Also, my neighbor is working on his house right when I start filming, so that's a thing. Something that the last video did make me realize is that you guys, as my audience, are so kind, but I think that a lot of you highly underestimate how far I've come. And I don't think that you guys do it on purpose. I think that that's just human nature. When you meet someone for the first time, you don't just assume that they have all this negative stuff in their past. So I realized that I can dig into my past and share past experiences with you guys and tell you how I changed my mindset. That feels good for me in this season. So if you're down with that, let's continue on. Today, I'm going to talk to you about the worst day of my life. Um, it feels like another lifetime, but it truly was the worst day of my life. And that is the day I got my car repoed when I was pregnant. There isn't really a lot of backstory to this. I was living with Adam and we were paycheck to paycheck, and we started to use our money that was allotted for car payments for baby things to prepare, like diapers, cribs, clothes. And 2 months went by, and it wasn't back-to-back months. It was, for example, January we didn't pay, so we would pay in February, pay in March, pay half of April, and then pay the other half in May, and then maybe miss June. It wasn't like we missed 3 payments back to back. It was a very grueling process of realizing that we don't have the money or all the money for the car note each month. And I remember my husband was or my boyfriend at the time was at work. He worked so hard. I had a job too. Again, it was just we were not making enough money. He was working 40 hours a week and I was working about 25 hours a week, and it wasn't adding up. And this was Charlotte in 2017. Um, so I just remember he was at work and a friend of mine was at the house hanging out, and I had an OBG, or not an OBGYN, a prenatal appointment. I think I was 4 months pregnant at the time. So I go outside to get in my car to get ready for the appointment, to get ready to go to the appointment, and my car is not there. And it's not funny, but it's just wild how these things happen. Like adult trauma. Adult trauma is a little funny. It's not very funny. It's just depending on the situation, it could be a little funny. So my pregnant behind is out there walking up and down the block like, I know I knew where I parked my car, looking everywhere. And then I was just like, okay, my car is not here. So I call Adam and I am like, hey, you have any idea what's going on? And he was like, it sounds like the car was repoed, because that car was in my name. He was helping me with the car payments. We were paying it together, but that car was my responsibility. Okay. And just did not have the money for it. I don't know I don't know what I thought was going to happen. At that time in my life, I was just in consistent chaos. I was never grounded. I was never present. So I don't think I ever sat down and said, what's going to happen if I do not catch up on these car notes? But I got an Uber that I could barely afford, went to my appointment, came back, started to do the legwork to figure out where the car was. They told me how much I would need to pay to get the car back, which I did not have. So eventually, I just drove to the lot where my car was, or my old car, got my stuff out, and that was the end of that. And this story, no matter like how embarrassing it is, or no matter how like frustrating it is, I always love to think of how maybe, let me see, it was 2017, 2019, 2 years later, my husband and I, we moved in with my mom right after our car got repoed. That was like our wake up sign that like, okay, we are not financially getting it. Like we need help. So we moved in with my mom right after that. And 2 years later, no, it wasn't even that long. It was like maybe a year later, we purchased another car. And I just will never forget how good that felt to have done the work to repair our credit, repair the back pay for the first car we got repoed, and then to be able to get approved for another loan to get a new car. Like it just felt really, really good, because I'm sure some of you guys that are watching this, you've been in situations where you've just felt hopeless, and like money is so hard to obtain. So those moments where you feel like you are climbing the mountain, they're so special, and those are the moments that we should focus on. So I want to talk to you guys today about how I changed my mindset, and changing financial mindset and money co-creation. It's so complex. It is so complex depending on your upbringing, but I think that for me, it is grounded in idolatry. And if I focus all of my energy on making money my God, that is immediately when I get lost in scarcity mindset, and ironically, I can't find money anywhere. So a lot of my journey has been shifting into understanding how to lean on the divine for my security, while simultaneously working through limiting beliefs about money, so that the clarity that comes from leaning on divinity, I can unlearn old habits and make sure that I'm taking the actions and holding the behavior of a person who is maintaining and attracting wealth. I think that when you're so focused on obtaining money to the point where you're in fight or flight if you don't get paid on time, or if you have an expense that you don't expect, when your mind's in that place, it can be very difficult to see the patterns within you that are actually stopping you from expanding into the financial person that you want to be. The first really big step for me was learning that I am worthy of joy. And I want you to hear this because it's important. I am worthy of joy in the midst of financial hardship. I realized this when I was at the beginning of my spiritual journey, really, really heavy in the law of attraction. When at this part of my journey, I was looking at people who we would consider successful and studying them. And I realized that rich people have financial difficulties all the time. But there is a grounded understanding that this is just today, tomorrow will be way better. A financial hiccup doesn't turn into the world crumbling in the same way as it does for a person who may not have cushion, may not have an emergency fund. So to me, what that communicated was, no matter what my money situation is, I'm still allowed to be joyful. I'm still allowed to be happy. I'm still allowed to be proud of who I am. The moment that I let a money hiccup or a financial situation define my character and my identity, that's the moment that I slip into idolatry and worshiping money. So a big part of my journey was learning how to feel gratitude, contentment, and joy despite my financial circumstance. One of the most beautiful souls in the world, who I am privileged enough to mentor in my coaching program, she never lets me forget this one story that I used to tell all the time at the beginning of my journey, but I just don't bring it up a lot anymore. After my car was repoed and I was pregnant, I lost my job, and I was at home getting bigger and bigger, just watching the little money we had slip away like sand. And at this time, I was also reading a lot of Abraham Hicks and learning how to shift into states, different emotional and energetic states. And if you're big on law of attraction and Abraham Hicks, you know that the foundation of most of those teachings is gratitude. Being able to control your energetic state and shift into gratitude no matter what your physical reality says. So, one of the practices in Ask and It Is Given is something called gratitude steps. At this point, I think I'm making it up because I mention this all the time and I haven't found it in the book. So, maybe I'm making this up. If you know what I'm talking about, it's either in Ask and It Is Given or the Law of Attraction book that Esther Hicks has written. But it's basically walking to a destination, and with every step, you say thank you. So I remember one day I was sitting in my home and I didn't have the money to order takeout. We didn't have any groceries and I just wanted some fries. I was pregnant and hungry and I just wanted some apple pie and some fries from McDonald's. So I walked a mile and a half, pregnant as anything, from my home to McDonald's. And every step I said thank you. And I remember when I got to McDonald's, I already felt a difference between what was becoming my old personality versus my new personality. My old personality would have been so defeated by the time I got to McDonald's. Here I am pregnant, walking in this half walkable city. If you know what Charlotte is, if you've been to Charlotte, you know what I'm talking about. It's like, it's a city, but it's like kind of a city. You still need cars and you use like public transportation. But I would have just felt so defeated and so embarrassed that I'm pregnant and walking to McDonald's that I wouldn't even have probably have had an appetite. But what actually had happened was I walked into the McDonald's and I was just so joyful. I was so joyful because I felt good. I wasn't tired. And I was so joyful that I made it. I wanted french fries and apple pie, and I made it to the McDonald's so I can get my french fries and apple pie. And when I tell you guys, it was the best apple pie and large fry that I ever had in my life. I am not lying to you. I will never forget. I got a window seat and I sat with my fries and my apple pie and I enjoyed my meal. And that was the moment when I realized that our physical existence is completely dependent on our mental state. Because in that moment, spending like 20 of my dollars on a $4 to $5 meal, I had a choice. I had a choice to be defeated or I had a choice to be joyful that I had the $20. And I took that mindset and I expanded it. I expanded it into every part of my reality, and it's gotten me to where I am now. And I want to also give you guys more clarity with like my financial journey. I'm definitely not where I want to be. I would love to have my investments paying for my rent and for my car. That's where I want to be, having my dividends pay for that. That's my goal. I'm not there now. Where I am now is I'm learning to invest at the bottom level. Like, you know, you don't touch investments, so my investments are not very old. And I work for myself. So I still kind of teeter and totter with scarcity mindset because I do work for myself. I make YouTube videos, I take sponsorships, and I also, is that a weird light thing in here? Weird light things are happening in these videos and I'm not sure why. But I take sponsorships and I do my group coaching and I'm trying to make time for more one-on-ones. I also sell merch and I'm creating some online courses. But I was able to shift from this person who just waited for money, just waited for money from the universe and from God while still believing that God wasn't actually able to bless me. I went from doing that to shifting into the person that believes that God just takes care of me, period. Period. So whatever I spend my time doing, I have to truly enjoy and it truly has to be valuable to other people. That's my focus. But if I focus on that, God's going to give me as much money as I believe God will give. I've shifted into that mindset. And when I tell you the fruit, the fruit from that mindset is never ending. The thing about our relationship with God is that it connects us to the idea of unlimited potential. If you've been following me for a while, you know that's a phrase I say very, very often. limited potential. What does that truly mean? We have to understand that our limitations are defined by what we think God's capable of. And if you're not a believer in God or source, I'm not sure how to communicate this. But for those of us who do believe in divinity and the divine, there's a level of infinity. There's a level of completely infinite possibilities. Even when you think about the unlimited amount of dimensions that there are, like nothing ever ends, nothing ever stops. It keeps flowing, it keeps going. So when you learn that you can tap into that through connection with God, you understand that your financial status can tap into that. And the only thing that stops that financial status from expanding is your belief in what can actually exist for you. So when I learned to stop having physical nervous system reactions, fight or flight reactions to my financial state, that's when I was able to shift into the magic that is God's never-ending love for us. It's like allowance. I think we get into these mindsets where we're like, I can make my money, I can make it, I'm responsible, I'm the boss, I do it. And when we do that, like, don't get me wrong, you can make a lot of money that way. But the moment you feel weak, the moment you feel defeated, the moment you feel like you can't, it'll all dry up because your belief system says, I make my money. So the moment you say, I'm tired, I have a block, I don't have any connection or any passion, I'm burnt out, the moment all that comes up, the money stops flowing because you believe that you are the source of your financial prosperity. So the moment you shift into this divine relationship where you're the child, right? Where there is a provider of all things for you, no matter if you have a good or bad day, that's when you can let go of it's all me and tap into the love that exists for you no matter what state you are in. But that is such a process. It is such a long process. And I would love to continue to share my process with you because I see where I want to go, and I also have complete openness to wherever God wants to take me. But it's also beautiful to see where I am now versus 5 years ago when I was pregnant and I had my car repoed. It doesn't happen by mistake. You don't just wake up okay. You don't just wake up without any problems or without any financial difficulties. It doesn't just happen. You got to train your mind. You got to train your mind to have trust that you were put here for a reason and that you will be taken care of. Or else we slip into our old patterns that encourage behavior that stops us from getting where we want to be. Sarah Bareilles is one of my favorite artists, and she has a lyric that says, compare where you are to where you want to be, and you'll get nowhere. If we don't tap into that relationship with the divine, we're consistently stuck in our current circumstances, and it can be impossible to see past the current circumstances without the expansion of faith. So it's an everyday thing. It's an everyday journey. Practice. All that. Also, if you don't know, I call myself Brown and Bendy because I'm a yoga teacher. I don't know how many of you guys knew that. But that's going to be it for this video. I could talk to you guys for forever. Trust me, I really could. I hope that you liked it. If you did, give it a thumbs up so people on YouTube know that it's valuable. If you connected to this story, if you have a story that you want to share, or if you just have questions, ask me in the comment box down below. Thank you, patrons. I love you so much. Also, last but not least, please make sure that you are subscribed and that you click that notification bell so you can be notified when I come out with a new video. I'll see you next time. Bye.